I'd like to ask you, I know we touched on it about the sort of deposit alternative schemes. Sometimes they're criticised on, say, for example, consumer forums or buyer redress schemes. What's your view?
Well, I have to declare an interest, first of all,
Hmm.
because TDS is a shareholder in Zero Deposit, which is one of the largest deposit replacement schemes. And we've been a shareholder there since 2017, and I sit on the board. Now, you might ask, why did you do that, Steve? What was the rationale behind that? So the answer was that at the time when these schemes were getting a bit of traction, we wondered whether or not they would really, really take off. Yeah. And we were thinking, if they really got a lot of interest, then would that affect our core business? So it was a bit of a hedge, really. We said, well, look, we'll join with Zero Deposit, and we'll work with them. We also provide the dispute resolution service for them. So if a tenant who's got a Zero Deposit policy is unhappy about the claim that the landlord's making, we'll offer again a free dispute resolution service on behalf of Zero Deposit. So you asked me the question about what's my view of them. So my view is that they do have a role to play. I think for some tenants they're a great idea. It avoids the tenant having to pay a big deposit up front. But I think tenants need to go into these policies with a clear understanding of what happens. Because I think a lot of tenants, when you talk about insurance, they think it's like car insurance. You pay a premium, your car gets damaged, the insurance company pays up. But that's not how these schemes work, as you know. What happens is you're essentially not paying a full deposit, but you're paying a premium. And what that premium does, it protects the landlord. So at the end of the tenancy, if there's damage that's been done by the tenant to the property or they haven't paid the rent, the landlord can claim against the policy, and the policy holder, the insurance company, will pay up, but then they come after the tenant. And the tenant sometimes, if they haven't read the small print properly or haven't understood the product, then get a bit of a shock because they say, hang on, I thought I was buying an insurance policy. Yeah. So I think there is a big danger of mis-selling here. And because you're not buying an insurance policy, you're just basically buying a policy that guarantees the landlord will get their money back if you cause any damage. But you also need to understand that the insurance company will come after you for that debt. So I think for me, the big risk is around mis-selling. Now, this might be an advert for Zero Deposit, but because I sit on their board, I see the amount of work they do in terms of checking that there's not mis-selling. They have mystery shopping. They get very, very few complaints about mis-selling. I can't speak for other companies, but that mis-selling issue is a potential risk here. I think there are some other disadvantages. Some of the schemes, in a cash deposit, the deposit is limited to 5 weeks rent. Some of the deposit replacement schemes guarantee landlords 10 weeks rent. So that's great for the landlord because they're now essentially have got 10 weeks cover from this deposit replacement product. But the tenants know that because what now happens is if, let's say, the tenant's caused damage and hasn't paid the rent, had they paid a 5-week cash deposit, that would have probably been their limit because it's unlikely the landlord would have taken them to court for the rest of the money that they're owed. But with one of these zero deposit type products where the protection is 10 weeks rent, they're essentially on the hook for twice the amount they would have got with a cash deposit. And again, I think that's an issue where there is some potential for mis-selling, that people don't know how it works. And I think the third area is that a number of letting agents now run their own versions of these types of schemes where they say to a tenant, we've got a deposit replacement product, you can pay so much per month or so much per week. But it's not always clear how those schemes run, and I think some of them are a bit opaque. So I think probably what I would say about this is that they have a place to play in the sector. I think they are popular with some tenants, and I think they should continue. We've been calling, along with Zero Deposit, that these schemes ought to be regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. So Zero Deposit is an FCA regulated provider. And if the tenant or landlord's not happy, they can go to the Financial Ombudsman Service. So I think I would like to see like the rules changed around this to say that if you can offer this sort of product, then make sure you look for a FCA regulated provider and access to the Ombudsman Service, the Financial Ombudsman Service, if there's a problem. But I think they're here to stay. I mean, they some tenants really, really love them. If you look at the reviews on some of the websites, some tenants love them, but the tenants who don't understand the product, they're the sorts of reviews that you're seeing on some of the consumer websites.